Right, 17 February 2024, and today I'm going to be handling one of the most difficult topics that I've had to handle over the past 2 years. And this is because when I talk about war and fighting, I'm actually talking about life and death. So people are actually being killed, and a lot of people are being killed over the issues that I'm going to raise today. And most people in our region don't understand that we're in the middle of one of the most brutal conflicts. And this conflict is going to expand exponentially. So I'm going to be looking at this conflict every weekend. I'm going to be spending a lot of time looking at the conflict that is taking place. And SADC is not prepared. They do not know who they are going to be starting a fight with. The Rwandan guys are extremely efficient at fighting, and they know how to fight. The SADC guys, they do not know how to fight, especially if you look at what is happening with SADC. The command which is currently there, I do not think they understand what they've gotten themselves into in terms of the war that is taking place in the DRC. So in the DRC, there is a fight with a group called the M23. And the M23 is a group which numbers between 1,200 and 5,000 soldiers. They are fighting in the eastern DRC. And although I don't claim to be an expert, I know that these guys are being backed by Rwanda and Uganda to some extent. There are various peace efforts which are taking place, and this week those efforts have taken a new sense of agency because of the death of the South African soldiers who were killed by a mortar attack. And my understanding is that some people who know are saying this mortar attack was coming from the Rwandans and it killed the South Africans. And there were various meetings. I'm going to show you the meeting here with Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni. This meeting took place as part of that attempt, or the Eastern or the Nairobi process, which is taking place to try to bring peace to these people. And it won't happen. There will be no peace. And I'll let you know why there's no peace, which is coming. In fact, our region is going to become one big war zone. And you can see here, former president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, he met with President Yoweri Museveni. And this was on February 7th. The soldiers were killed 2 days ago by the mortar attack, indirect fire from the Rwandans. And then the guy who is in charge of this war, of M23, is General Nkunda. So General Nkunda is here. General Nkunda used to fight in the Rwandan army. And he's SDA, he's a Seventh-day Adventist, a staunch Seventh-day Adventist who believes that he's fighting for God. He believes that he's protecting his people and was given a message by God. I can also take you to the SADC guys. They are currently going through a process. And the SADC guys, that is the military, they've met this week, the command. They met over in, I think they're in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, where they are at the sidelines of the AU. And what has happened here is the AU is now divided into two, which is the guys who support the M23 rebels, the Rwandans and the Ugandans, and the guys who come here from the south, South Africa, and so forth. And I want to show you how strange this looks. So I want to look for a map. Let me remove the face of General Nkunda here so that you can see me. So let me remove the face of General Nkunda so that you can see me. I want to share with you the map. Before we go into a lot of detail, I want to share with you what's happening and where it's happening. So I'm going to look for the actual map of the Democratic Republic of Congo, and I'll show you where the war is taking place and why it's crazy, what is happening. So Africa has become one big war zone. and I'll tell you why. So let's start with where is the war. So the areas of the war, I'm drawing here, and I hope you can see it. I'm drawing here, and I'm not seeing if that is visible on my screen, but the area with the war is here. So I'm drawing it here on my screen, and I hope that it eventually shows up on the screen. So let's see if it has shown up. Unfortunately, it has not shown up, and I don't know why that is happening. So I've got a pen that I'm using to draw, and it's not showing up on the screen. But it's coming all the way from the half of Africa up to the bottom of Africa. That is from the center, where it says Central African Republic, all the way down where it says South Africa. The South Africans have gone to the DRC and they've taken command in the DRC. The SADC is actually not really in control of what the South Africans are doing. Basically, the South Africans are doing their own thing in the DRC. And SADC, if you talk of SADC, in terms of military, the only military force that can wage a war is Zimbabwe and South Africa. The rest of the countries are quite small. However, currently we have Zambia, we have Malawi, and I think we've got Tanzania, and we've got South Africa. The South Africans have deployed 3,000 soldiers this week to the DRC. And that is in addition to what they already had. The Rwandese have complained to the United Nations. So let me remove this map because it's not serving the purpose that I wanted to serve. So I'm going to eventually share this on gambako.com. I'll do an article so that you guys can see. So the SADC is getting support from the United Nations. The United Nations were thrown out of this area because they were ineffective and they were being accused of supporting the M23. And so SADC is basically now fighting on behalf of the United Nations. Whereas on the other side, you've got the Rwandese, I don't know if I should call them the Rwandese or the Rwandans, and the Ugandans fighting on the side of the M23, where General Nkunda used to work for the Rwandan army. And the Rwandan National Army has written to the United Nations complaining that the United Nations should not provide support to SADC. So you get what I'm saying here. The key parties is Uganda, Rwanda on one side, and then the president of the DRC, who recently got elected, Tshisekedi. He got elected recently, and the M23 are saying Tshisekedi is conducting a genocide in Eastern DRC. That is the basis of the war. And the genocide, the Rwandans are saying is true. And on the other side, we got SADC through South Africa. So what is the interest of South Africa in the DRC? And this is important for you to understand. It's a very big and complicated security situation that is developing. And I want to take it in the context of what is happening in Mozambique. So South Africa is fighting in Mozambique. South Africa is fighting in the DRC. Two fronts, common enemies. So in the DRC, Rwanda is fighting against the people that they say are conducting a genocide. And then in Mozambique, Rwanda is fighting against the Islamists. And in all these two cases, Rwanda consider themselves a Christian army. They consider themselves a Christian army fighting against the Muslims and the Islamists and the people who are conducting a genocide. And I want to show you a video here of General Nkunda speaking. So General Nkunda is a person who believes that he is doing God's work. He's doing God's work. That's why he is doing what he's doing. So let me clear my screen here. I've got so much happening on my screen, and you are not seeing it, and I'm seeing it. It's so strange. I'll try to make this work very, very soon. So let's look at General Nkunda speaking. I want to find a picture of General Nkunda speaking and him explaining what it is that he's doing. And I hope that I don't get distracted here. So let's see General Nkunda speaking, and I want to show you why the South Africans are in the DRC. So let's play a video of General Nkunda.
We have people who belong to Rebels for Christ and who pray with us and who are Muslims. They've written something over there I don't understand. I can't read the Muslim language. You have members who are Muslims? Yes, we have a doctrine. It's Christian justice.
Right, so Christian justice. You can go and look at a video called Blood Coltan when you finish here. And I want you guys to understand how dangerous this is going to become. We are at the beginning. Within the next 10 years, Africa, this region where we stay, is going to be a war zone. And it's going to be a bad war zone. All the way from Mozambique to the DRC. The South Africans are at the edge here at the end. The Mozambicans are on our east. And the DRC guys are at the top. There's one thing in common. And that one thing in common is artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence relies on certain components, rare earth minerals. And coltan is one of the top rare earth minerals that you need to make artificial intelligence chips. You cannot make that stuff that's in your iPhone, that's in your Samsung. You see the Samsung is making new AI phones, right? You cannot make that stuff without coltan. And that mineral, the top producers in the world, let me show you who the top producers are. It's DRC at the top, Australia at the second, Brazil, Rwanda, Mozambique. Do you get where I'm going with this? Rwanda, their coltan is probably coming from DRC. Rwanda is also in Mozambique. And then we've got Burundi. Burundi is right next to the DRC. So coltan is concentrated in these countries that I've mentioned for you. The top 10 producers. Of course, the United States makes this. China makes this. But the top producer in the world is the DRC. So the fight here is over coltan. But there is a Christian context to the war. The fact that the Rwandan guys believe that they are Christians and they're fighting a religious war. However, South Africa has commercial interests in coltan. They're fighting the commercial interests. And the United Nations understands the impact of artificial intelligence and what is going to happen. In future, artificial intelligence is going to make the difference between winning and losing a war. Because the soldiers of the future are not going to be people. The soldiers of the future are going to be artificial intelligence operating within non-human bodies. So you'll be able to create your soldiers that you do not have to spill blood. If you want to attack some people, you probably make something that is going to be in a body that can move around and shoot and kill. And those things are already happening. So in terms of military supremacy, whoever is going to have the best AI is going to be able to defeat people without losing lives. And this is the context of the war. The South Africans have got the commercial interests. They are working in both Mozambique and the DRC. Remember that Mozambique discovered 50 billion worth of gas offshore about 3 years ago. And connected individuals have managed to gain contracts in the DRC, in the Mozambique. The banks, all the banks in South Africa have funded that project in Mozambique, and they're trying to make sure that they do not lose their investment. So that is in terms of the gas discovery in Mozambique. Now put into perspective the coltan dimension in terms of artificial intelligence, Mozambique a big supplier of that mineral. So as I said, the region between Zimbabwe, South Africa, all the way up to the DRC, Mozambique, is going to be one big war zone if you do not control what is happening here. And SADC is not capable in terms of as a united force. SADC is not capable. They need support, which is why the DRC is complaining about the United Nations supplying support to SADC. So I think you can, if you go to Gambako.com, after about an hour, I'm going to upload the letters of complaint by Rwanda. Rwanda has complained about the support that SADC is going to get from the United Nations. So they've complained, they say This should not happen. In fact, I think what I should do is let me try to upload those letters so that we can look at them. I know most of the guys won't be able to go and look, but this is real. We got a situation in our hands here. So this is the letter by Rwanda to the United Nations. You can see that was written on 12 February. That is 4 or 5 days ago, to the United Nations. And Rwanda here is saying, if the United Nations continues to support SADC, they are going to do everything necessary. So I want you to look at the last sentence there. The government of Rwanda is willing and ready to play its role in supporting a peaceful resolution of the conflict in the eastern DRC. In the meantime, the government of Rwanda will continue to undertake preventative and defensive measures against the declared intentions of the presidents of the DRC and Burundi to remove the government of Rwanda. So you can see how this is going. It's looking like a big fight that is going to take place. The Rwanda guys don't play. If you fight the Rwandan guys, you're gonna lose. Those guys can fight. Check out the guys in Mozambique, what happened there. And the SADC guys, I don't think they're ready. The South African guys, I don't think they are ready for what is going to happen. If they go head to head with the Rwandan guys, they're gonna lose. And the Ugandans have also written a letter. You can see the letter here by the Ugandans, and the Ugandans are complaining of misinformation. There's quite some graphic stuff on Twitter. If you were to go on Twitter, there's some very graphic stuff of Tshisekedi being accused of genocide, and the propaganda is actually very big. There's a big propaganda taking place. As I said, when they're dealing with a war and they're discussing a war, you can talk about what's happening at the front, but there's always a puppet master. You understand? At the back, there's a puppet master, and this time the puppet master is the guys who are going to benefit from this Coltan and from the AI chips. In fact, Coltan is just one. There is massive number of chips that are required for AGI, what we call artificial general intelligence, which is coming. So artificial general intelligence is coming within the next 10 years. Currently, there is no AI. What you're seeing is not really AI, because if you go into AI, there's weak AI and strong AI. At the moment, we're still at weak AI. Weak AI, artificial intelligence is artificial intelligence that does one thing, and then strong AI is AI that does a lot. Then there's general artificial intelligence, which is gonna make, which would do a lot of things. So like a human, and this is where we're going. These minerals are required, and so think of it this way: what you know now, in 10 years' time, it will make no sense. It will be like you know nothing, because everything is changing, and it's all to do with artificial intelligence. And this is the war that is now taking place in Africa, the war over chips, but framed in terms of religion, in terms of the guys who are fighting. Rwanda playing a very big part, but the SADC through South Africa, they want to go in there, but I don't think the South Africans understand what they're getting into. I don't think they've got this staying capacity or the will to fight a religious war, because General Nkunda, I don't think he's fighting the way that the South Africans do. The South Africans, they take command. They're basically on salaries, whereas our guys in Rwanda, they'll fight you to the death. That is basically what is going to happen. So I'm going to follow this. What we're going to do is we need to chew a little bit at a time. So going forward, I'm going to be taking you through the processes every weekend: the military process, the peace process, and who are the key players. Let's do this, because I think we fell back or fell a bit behind on the Mozambican conflict. I was taken aback when the rebels started using my videos. So I decided to stop when the rebels in Mozambique started using my videos in their propaganda. So I said, I don't want my face to be used by rebels killing people in Mozambique. So that's why you saw that I stopped the whole Mozambique conflict thing. I didn't want them to now say Gambakwe said this. So that is, rebels, once they see one clip, they go with that, and I didn't enjoy that. So I hope that no one is going to use my videos for propaganda or for saying they're right or they're wrong. And as you know, Gambakwe is international, and This is how it is. Let's go to the comments, and then I'll go to a bit of news. Let's look at Mkoma MS. Zimbabwe don't really care with our own burning issue at home. Mkoma MS, artificial intelligence is going to affect everyone. Eventually, the whole African region, that portion from the top of DRC up South Africa, it's going to be a war zone. If you in South Africa, you're already affected. South African soldiers have already been killed, and your economy is going to be affected. Mozambique is already a war zone. War is breaking out in this region. And the funny part is, there is no strong regional force here. You saw who is in DRC now. The executive secretary of SADC is leading this meeting, which is taking place right now in Ethiopia. To me, it makes no sense. So let me show you. It makes no sense for executive secretary of SADC to lead a war effort. Does he know how to fight? Is he a soldier? Look at this guy. He is just in a suit. This guy, he wears suits. The people who should be leading these efforts is a proper military guy. Guys who know how to fight. Guys who know how to strategize. You cannot fight a war in the DRC and win. It's impossible. That place is big. There are currently over 2,000 rebel groups, if I'm not mistaken, operating in the DRC. And then you take Mozambique. Mozambique is so big that the Mozambican army is failing to control it. The Mozambican army doesn't know what's happening in half of Mozambique. They don't have capacity. And that is because they don't know how to use their natural resources. They don't know how to monetize and add value, or what you can say, beneficiation. This Coltan, it's making trillions. The biggest company right now, today, is NVIDIA. It makes AI chips. Did you guys know that? Last week, it became the biggest company in the world, and it's because of AI. So you have to understand how this thing works. The stuff that we're talking about here is the future. And most people who go into a war, they don't understand the drivers of the war, which is happening here in Africa. It's because of African leaders that they've got poor leadership. They don't know how to take what they have on the earth and make it valuable. So if you can sort out the poor governance in Africa, Africa will become wealthy. But your leaders, the Africans, if they're given $1 billion, they think they've got money. This continent is sitting on trillions. And this is where people don't understand how Africa can take what they have on the land and make it valuable and not hand it to these guys, the guys who are here in Africa, who are using this place as a place for obtaining cheap materials. Then I want to look at some other comments. Mkoma, Mr. Mani saying, Gabako is international for sure, watching from Alaska. Thank you, Mkoma. I was so disappointed when the rebels used my face. And it was, I don't know if you guys saw that, it was very disappointing for me last year. In fact, 2 years ago, for propaganda purposes. And then Mkoma still says, good morning, Padre. Let me support your stance on Rwanda. And it is the beginning of the DRC to free themselves and the end of propaganda. Our region will try to soften it. I don't know if Kagame can be removed. You see, that's the thing. The guys in Rwanda can fight. Guys, if you know people who can fight, it's the guys in Rwanda. Strategically and internationally, those guys can fight. This week, the president of Rwanda, Kagame, Mnangagwa, and I think the president of Kenya, they were together at Dubai. I don't know if they met. They addressed the same conference. You can go to the World Government Summit. That's why I say guys must watch very carefully. Currently, all these guys are in Ethiopia. Mnangagwa is over there. I do not know if these guys are able to have a look at this and talk. But we have a serious problem. The Rwandan guys, you're not going to win a war against them. And South African guys cannot fight. They literally think they can go into DRC with 3,000 soldiers. You can't go with 3,000 soldiers. If you want to win in the DRC, you have to go with at least 100,000 soldiers. but then you're fighting in Mozambique. So think about that. You cannot fight General Nkunda in DRC. You don't even know what DRC means, like which place is where. And you're coming from South Africa, you're trying to use your drones and all that. This is a commitment, a military commitment, if you're going to fight Rwanda, and it won't work. Especially you've got Rwanda and Uganda going after you. That is not a good idea. Mkoma Greta saying, Gambako, there's no military SADC without Zimbabwean army. Zimbabwean army is not capacitated. They can barely feed their soldiers. They are well trained, or they were well trained, but they don't have the weapons, they don't have anything, and they're under sanctions. So the United States is not going to give money to the Zimbabwean army to fight. That is why I told you 2 months ago when I showed you the strategy of the United States. You should go back to that video. And the United States is trying to sort out the sanctions issue in Zimbabwe because of this. So these things are connected, but AI is at the back of everything. The military, the weapons or the chips that make AI, they're going to become a big part of what happens. And eventually someone's just going to come to Africa and say, all of you move out of this place we're taking. That is the next thing. Someone is going to clear that area from the DRC all the way to Mozambique and say, I don't want anyone in this place. That happened already in Mozambique. Someone cleared a portion of Mozambique and said, I don't want a person here. And it just happened. The guys in Mozambique, they know what I'm talking about. There are places in Mozambique now where you can't see a human being. That has been cleared already. Right, I would like to thank everyone here for joining. As I said, let me go to news. Let's see who has published. And let's go to Botswana. The guys in Botswana are rejecting opposition accusations that the government of Botswana is trying to rig the elections. So the Botswana Independent Electoral Commission is refusing that they met ZEC for benchmarking. They are saying they only went to ZEC for understanding how accreditation works. So the Botswana Independent Commission is lying. They're lying very badly. The Botswana Independent Electoral Commission in Masisi, I think they want to rig the election. So let's see what happens there. But they are saying in the newspapers that they do not go there to do benchmarking. But I can show you the Botswana guys benchmarking with ZEC. So they're lying, and they're lying very, very badly. You can see here. I think this was a meeting. Which meeting was this one? Let's see if this is the correct meeting. I want to see the meeting of ZEC. ZEC, sorry about this. I think this is the meeting with ZEC. Yeah, this is the one. So that's not, this is a big meeting with people sitting there, and they're lying to say they only went there to look at how the electoral machine works. There's an automated accreditation machine. That's what they're saying, the Botswana Independent Electoral Commission, and they're lying. That's not true. They went there to benchmark. They probably went there to learn to rig. And Botswana is becoming quite a mess because Botswana was doing very well under Kama. But the moment they got in these new guys, the new guys are out to rig the elections. And you're going to see instability over there. They're chasing the former president Kama all over the place. And I do not support what the Masisi guys are doing. And you know that Masisi, what Masisi did, one point, like back in the day, when I was having this court case with Masiwa, Masisi was responsible for leaking one of those big secret documents that I did with Strive, and they published it in the newspapers, which was quite silly, you know. I don't know what's up with Masisi. But anyway, let's go to next news. BT and Job Scholar probably working together. You can see that BT, there's a new Twitter account called Tendai BT campaign. They are retweeting everything that Job Scholar is doing. So I think there's two. We're going to see a meeting of the minds between BT and Job Scholar. I would like to see Tendai BT coming out and saying exactly where he is. What is he about? And I'm quite disappointed that he's been so quiet, because I think Tendai BT, if he was to come out, he can actually give Nelson Chamisa a run for his money, and he can put pressure on Chamisa to show his face, to tell us what he's up to. Because at the moment, it's a bit unclear. I thought I was going to see Chamisa this weekend, but Chamisa is not coming to South Africa. So we'll never know what is going to happen with Chamisa as long as there's no pressure. So we need someone to put a bit of pressure. The opposition guys are just too slow, and they won't be able to move on Mnangagwa at this speed, at this rate. The next guy who's going to take over in Zimbabwe is the guy who's going to push mass action. If someone right now comes and pushes mass action on ED, they're going to take over immediately. That's how it's going to be. Right, and then I think AI is also listening to me, because as I'm talking to you, my Twitter is filling up with M23, M23 stuff. I cannot believe this. Like, I open my Twitter, suddenly everything is M23, M23, M23. I don't know who is in control of this thing. Mnangagwa is in the DRC, is in Ethiopia, sorry. And he's shared a picture. We're going to be following Mnangagwa very, very closely here. So you can check out his Mnangagwa suit. He's got the dark suit. I think he got this from Dubai. But I saw another picture where he looks to be wearing something different. But I'm going to be watching Mnangagwa very, very closely. So I was looking at his shoes. And I was looking at his jacket. So let's see what Mnangagwa is wearing. I also saw Mnangagwa with Passion Java. That's crazy. Mnangagwa with Passion Java in Dubai. I haven't talked to Passion Java in years. And I like Passion Java. He's a nice guy, very smart. I think probably the smartest guy you can ever meet. It's Passion Java. But I don't know why he hangs out with Mnangagwa. I don't know what's the connection over there between the two of them. But Passion Java, very, very nice guy. You like Passion Java if you meet him. He's not the person that you think he is. He's a very, very smart guy. So I want to end it here. Mkuma 1-1, you're saying, is Chamisa still missing? Chamisa was with the ambassador of Canada. I showed you yesterday. Mkuma 1-1. And I think Mnangagwa and Chamisa are wearing the same shirt. Can you see that? So it's very, very interesting. There's Mnangagwa's shirt. There's Chamisa's shirt, right? There is Chamisa's shirt. There's Mnangagwa's shirt. They're wearing the same shirt. Yeah, the same suit. Look at the shoes of Chamisa. I like to look at the details of the picture. So let's look at the pictures of Chamisa. Sorry, let me remove that banner so that you can see. So there, look at the shoes of Chamisa. All right? And then let's go and look at the shoes of Mnangagwa. Very neat, right? I like the detail when I'm looking at pictures. I spend hours, like I've been sitting here since 1 o'clock a.m. Just looking at stuff and seeing what's going on. I probably need to sleep better and more. But let's wrap this up. Let's recap, and then let's take this over to next week. This stuff that I'm talking about here is the most important stuff. Zimbabwe currently not involved, but we are having now a war zone in Africa, and that is starting over the DRC, all the way down to Mozambique. And the key players are South Africa and Rwanda, Uganda, Burundi, DRC, Tanzania, Zambia, Malawi. So all the guys on our right. And the key driver of these wars is the minerals for AI, or for general artificial intelligence, which is Coltan at the top, and all the other minerals that you need to make your iPhone, your cell phones, and all that kind of stuff. And this is going to escalate because there is a religious dimension. Our general here, General Nkunda, who was fired from the DRC army, also worked in the DRC army. They at some point had an agreement, and the M23 rebels were part of the DRC army. But they've gotten out. About 1,200 soldiers jumped out of that agreement, and they went with General Nkunda. General Nkunda is an SDA, or Seventh-day Adventist. Considers himself a Christian, considers himself to be fighting a religious war. The Rwandans consider themselves to be fighting a religious war in Mozambique, and they've threatened to defend General Nkunda here because they are saying that the United Nations is supporting SADC, and SADC is supporting someone who is committing a genocide against the. I don't want to mention the tribes. You must forgive me. I don't want to mention the tribes now because I don't think there's a tribal war. I think it's grown wider than a tribal war, and SADC is getting sucked in without understanding. SADC don't know what they're doing here, especially the South Africans. I don't think they can withstand and last a war that they have to go on two fronts, Mozambique and DRC, and which goes on forever and ever and ever. Remember what I said about the Mozambique war? That South Africans will be stuck in Mozambique for years. Now they're going to be stuck in the DRC for years, and they're going to be stuck in Mozambique for years, and they don't have a particular purpose except the commercial interests. That is the commercial interests that South Africa has got for these wars. South Africa is only motivated by the commercial interests. If you say, do you want to bring peace to the DRC, to South Africa? It's not possible. So what is it that the South Africans are doing? You see, so there's no bigger picture for the South Africans. Whereas the Rwandans, they've got a religious reason. They are trying to prevent genocide. And the Rwandans, they know how to fight. They can fight you. Like, if Rwandans enter a place, they clear that place. The South Africans are not known for that. And SADC, the command of SADC is under the South Africans. I do not think it's going to work. Let's see what happens. We'll be following this and the communication that comes out, obviously. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And I'll be back tomorrow with the Sunday news. There's a lot of news on Sunday. And I want to leave you with this comment. Zimbabwe is like to have ZANU-PF. They're smart warriors. This one, we're talking big boys now. ZANU-PF in Mnangagwa, they're like, do you see when they are fighting in the junior ranks? When you compare Rwanda and Zimbabwe, I don't think, without sounding patriotic, I don't think the Zimbabwean guys will even last like a few hours. Remember, Zimbabwe is very small. The Rwandans are used to fighting in massive territories, large chunks, and they're used to fighting with technology. So drones, the weapons that they use in these countries, it's not like what you use in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe still use AK-47 to fight, not in Rwanda. Right, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And I'll be continuing with this coverage of the war every week. I'll try to do it every Saturday until someone starts using my face for propaganda. Then I stop. Thank you very much, everyone, and a good